Good night, Brasilia, July 16th, Thursday, 7 p.m. Does we have here our interpreter? Yes. They changed a little bit since I am contaminated with COVID. The interpreter is away from me. Last year, she wasn't here, and the First Lady said that I had to bring her. So I had to do it right. She warned me that I had to have the interpreter in here. Last week I couldn't do it because I'm still infected. And I hope, God bless me, I'll be free from it in the next days. This one will be quickly a quick one. I don't have anybody here today because I can't bring someone with me, an expert. I would like to have here our infrastructure minister, Captain Tarcísio. Let's see, next week maybe he'll be here. I can tell you that also Ricardo Salles from Environment could be here, or also Evaristo Miranda from Embrapa, Brazilian Agricultural Research Company. It would be someone really good to talk to you all. I asked Jovem Pan Radio, they are watching us. I would like you to invite Evaristo Miranda to talk about wildfires in Amazon, those environmental issues in general, legal reservation, something that it's only here in Brazil. It's not easy to deal with it, and we have issues because Brazil is the power in agribusiness. Europe is an environmental cult. They didn't care about the environment. They haven't kept anything. There was no reforestation in the region, and they treat us unfairly because there's also a commercial fight. There was a huge interest on Amazon, and nowadays they are interested in the entire Brazil. They are fighting us 24/7. Part of the press, the media, use it to make a criticism to the government. I can say, in average, the heat and burn focus, Brazil, we are under the average of the last years. So we're not okay, you know. I know we have things to do, but it's not all this problem they are saying against Brazil in this issue. About heat warnings, 90% happen in different areas. We will never end this. The natives, the ones living close to the river, they are always doing it in the areas where they live. When we talk about legal Amazon, 9 states, and a part of these states, great part of them, are made of forests, and a smaller part is a savanna. The forest part, the Amazon forest, in there are men legally in the land, and 80% is legal Amazon. We can't do anything in there. The provisional measure expired. It was about legalizing the land, where someone has land in there and he can practice wildfires legally or illegally, we don't know sometimes. But if we had a way to make it legal, the left party is still strong in the Congress. If it wasn't voted, if it was voted, it would be approved. We lost the provisional measure, and if it was approved, those areas would be regulated, and when we detected something on the satellite fires, we would quickly know if it was inside legal reservation or not and who owns this area. And for now, pressure from the left party, the parties together, sometimes they're together, and they have the power with the president of the chamber. Do not put into vote something like that. We are accused, unfairly accused the whole time to treat badly the environment in Brazil. And part of the press are publishing lies, and the foreign press is sharing again those things, and the environmental issue is like a code in there. They publish those lies that they say in here, and they start to criticize the government. So they say that we deserve impeachment, we don't care about the environment, and I'm making clear in here 90% of those heat focus, they happen in deforested areas, not new fires. 5% in native areas. The natives are doing it as well. I didn't sign it yet. It's foreseen a decree not allowing burns will not be allowed for 4 months. I know it's out of this forbidden, the natives, for example, but this small man that is in the countryside of Brazil, this big country we have, I will sign this decree. How will he grow something? If he didn't grow this year, he will not have money the next year. It's missing for all of us liability to treat on this matter. The whole time will be massacred, damaged, in what is working in Brazil, which is agribusiness, the locomotive of our economy. In September last year, I made a pronunciation, and I was complimented on social media. I was doing something right. Today in Brazil, we have 40%. 14%. It's around almost the size of southeast region of Brazil. Obviously, what Europe would like us to do is up to 2022, it would increase to 20% of demarcated land. It would make unfeasible agribusiness in Brazil. You can be a witness of what is going on. I have in here 200 copies of billboards. I know. It's different in Portuguese. It's a foreign word. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I have in here more than 100 maybe. They are billboards all over Brazil, supporting us, the government. They come from the agricultural producers. We are proud of the son of our earth, Glicério City, where I was born, in the state of São Paulo. It's common all over Brazil. In almost any state, all the states of Brazil, they are supporting the government. I'm not stimulating it, encouraging them. They come from the heart of the Brazilian people, like it happened during my campaign. All the left parties, they were saying I was abusing the economic power, but we won. All over Brazil you can see this. There's no standardization. It doesn't come from me. Rio Grande do Sul, São Paulo, Mato Grosso do Sul. We have a cavalry regiment in there, Minas Gerais. Thank you all for this voluntary manifestation, recognizing our work, and the rural producer. It's working in Brazil. Around 4 months ago, we exchanged the president of the Port of Santos. And in the last 4 months, we have records on exports. We have to have an infrastructure so the product can be quickly led to the ships and taken abroad. Agribusiness is working, and they are criticizing me. And agribusiness has been very good to Brazil. We don't have unemployment. They were working the whole time during the pandemic, different from the cities. Many governors and mayors, they made the lockdown. They closed everything. The history will tell who was right or not. When I was talking back there, then we have 2 issues to solve. The life maintenance and job maintenance. Both were together, and the the media the whole time was hitting me, beating me. I stopped watching the news for a while because they were saying that we will not recover lives, but the economy you can recover. Nobody wants nobody to die. My mother has 93 years old. I would like her to live a lot, but we know that a person with this age, her life can be complicated. The numbers will say the number of suicides increased, depression, other disease. People with a lot of issues, they're not going to the hospital because they're afraid of the virus. And now, the press starts to say things that I was telling back there. But back there, it wasn't politically correct to say that. I was alone. It's not easy. And everybody was telling that he was alone, the only world leader talking about that, and we have it here now. CNN, the press are saying this. I will round the numbers. 70% of Brazilian people cut expenses during the pandemic because they stopped buying and then people stopped selling. According to the research, 70% assert they are afraid of unemployment. I was in Araguari City, Minas Gerais state, 3 or 4 weeks ago. In a highway police station, I was talking to the police officers. The press was hitting me again because there was a lot of people around me. And then an agent told me that the number of runovers increased 3 times. And he told me that it was because they were trying to commit suicide. It could be suicide because they lost their jobs. He has wife, kids, and he has no way to get another job. The informal worker, for example, that was selling things on the streets or popsicle in a soccer match, they lost their job. Can you imagine what happened with their lives? They wanted to produce, to work, and they are punished. with fines, with prison. Look at what point we arrived. And then the issues, the problems are rising. I'm not blaming anyone, but that's the news. CNN, 4 into 10 companies are closed because of the pandemic. They will not open again. Maybe they will, but they will start from scratch again. 1.3 million businesses, 90% were small-sized businesses. Almost everybody. If you take into account rounding numbers, 1.3 million in 4, it's almost 5 million employments lost because of these companies that are closed now. Can you see the problem we'll have now? But let's preserve life. It's okay. I will repeat for everybody. When I said before, we had to flatten the curve. The minister was saying that the army trucks will collect bodies on the streets. The panic was all over, and the media was also supporting it. The goal for flattening the curve is in order to be prepared so the hospitals could serve the ones infected. We don't have a vaccine, and we don't have a medicine which is scientifically proof. And the goal was that the government in many states, there are beds now left. They are starting to open again because the crisis, because of unemployment, deaths, suicidal, depression, it's arriving. It's here now. I learned in my military career, you have to make a decision. American studying here, governor of New York, 85% of the ones contaminated were at home. They were contaminated by relatives. It was a neurosis. Nobody told that nobody would die, but we know, unfortunately, there are people dying. But we have to decrease. They said we had to decrease the number of deaths. How would it do it? Everybody said that at least 70% of the population will be infected. The older ones that have comorbidities, sooner or later, they are not free from the virus already. It's a reality. It's not that we will reopen during the carnival again. But the federal government, we talked about this issue before carnival, and they decided to go on with the carnival, the governors. That's the consequence. And what happens now? We cannot keep suffocating the economy. The lack of salary, employment kills more than the virus. Is it hard to understand? Am I wrong to say that? Do I have to be more responsible the way that I'm seeing? I could be quiet. The Supreme Court said that the ones that can decide about in this issue are states and cities. I know now it's forbidden. Hydroxychloroquine is forbidden. If we don't have an alternative, why forbidding it? There's no scientific proof, but there's also no scientific proof that it doesn't work. They don't have that it works or doesn't work. They don't know. In my case, I take and the next day I'm okay. The symptoms are gone. And there are studies, I don't remember from which place, favorable to chloroquine because we don't have another alternative. I can imagine that's why there will be the scientific proof. They will say. hydroxychloroquine is efficient. And the ones that forbid it in their cities, how many deaths could be prevented? Also, we have now Anita. I'm not a doctor. I'm not recommending. What I recommend is looking for a doctor. If you have a relative, a friend, an elder with the symptoms, look for a doctor. Doctor, please, can I use hydroxychloroquine? Anita, what do you recommend? The doctor will say something, and he can tell you to go home and lay down, and then you decide you can look for another doctor. In my case, I felt the symptoms last Monday. I called the doctor. We have some in here that are serving hundreds of people here at the government. He told me, President, do you sign the liability term? I say, I don't need to sign it. It's my word. I took it around 5 p.m., 5 a.m. I took another one. I took it again today. No problem at all. I had a small fever. I was not feeling well. I was tired, and it was over the next day. We have a problem to overcome. We don't have an efficient treatment yet. Some are telling that I'm advertising it. I'm not doing it. I'm not stimulating no one. I'm just guiding. Look for a doctor and ask him. And then you decide if the doctor says you can take it. Off-label, they call it. And then you sign the liability term and take it. There was a previous protocol that you could only take it if you were severely ill. There was a study in Manaus City. It's under investigation. They applied a superdose in people in severe state. 100% of that. I don't want to... It's not a study. When General Pazuello now signed, asked the doctor, professionals, more than 5,000 here in Brasilia, health servants, a lot of doctors, pharmaceuticals, and they decided to change the protocol and guide for using it for light cases. Then the problem was solved. You can take it if you want. And here it's working. Talking about Pazuello, some of you want him out because he's a military. Are you missing Dilma Rousseff's ministers, Lula's ministers? Do you miss those kind of people? Many of those ministers, they were not doctors. Just for you to know, we have 23 ministers. 9 of them are from the army and the vice president. Is it forbidden? Is it forbidden for them to be on politics? Taking off, being a minister in our government? No, it's not forbidden. We have João Heleno, everybody knows him. He's a very balanced person, knows a lot of Brazilian issues. Always in a hard moment, I talk to him. João Fernando, Minister of Defense, until Temer's government. The Minister of Defense was just a service, was a civil servant. So there's no, when that happened, when Fernando Henrique Cardoso created the Minister of Defense, it was a political position, not a military position, because he never liked the militaries. He had three ministers in the armed forces. Temer started putting a general, and now ask Governor Ratinho what he thinks about General Silva Lula in charge of Itaipu Power Station. What the mayors on the region think about that. An exceptional job he's doing. More than 520 million reais were invested by him, renovating prisons, 2 bridges with Paraguay to encourage our trade. Braga Neto worked on Rio de Janeiro in a hard position as intervenor in Rio de Janeiro. Now he is chief of staff in an excellent work. Almirante Bento, Minister of Mines and Energy, an exceptional work in this important area that in the past people, not very skilled one, were occupying this function. Dilma Rousseff was occupying this place. Our secretary, General Secretary, Captain Tarcísio, he is working at the chamber. There was only one spot, and he was approved. And currently, he's our Minister of Structure, an exceptional job. He is renovating the railways in Brazil. Next year, we'll have North-South railway. I was at Goiás State last year signing an agreement. Tarcísio is doing what is possible. A part of this work was made by the engineering unit of the Brazilian Army. We have Captain Wagner, the Union Controllership, General Ramos, my friend, since 1973, and also he's there because he's my friend, yes. And slowly he had experience. He made some mistakes, but now he's doing an exceptional job. Levi, working at AGU. Our dear Paulo Guedes, he studied on the military school. 9 ministers from the armed force, and as a coincidence, Milton Ribeiro studied at the military school as well. I will send you to the swimming pool. The infantry is taking office all over the ministries of Brazil. Facebook, 51,000, YouTube, 26,000, Jovem Pan Radio, 9,000. Pampa Radio is on the circuit. When my live is finished, you can go to those other networks. I will see if the comments are good or not. You can criticize me if it's well done in the end. If I don't want you to criticize me, I would not run for office. I don't want to be a radio presenter. I will not take... I don't want to be in their place. Those 4, they are really good. Augusto Nunes, Fiuza, Vitor Brown, and Zé Maria. They are exceptional. journalists with exemption. And it seems that being exempt in journalists is supporting me. That's not it. There's nothing else. I think that's it. Well, we have now the provisional measure on the civil landmark on basic sanitation. We had some vetoes. One of them was very important. I hope they keep it, which allows state companies to be extended up to 30 years more in this area. I will not say that it's all of them, but we know that it's a problematic area in many states and cities. So private companies are welcome in there. If it was working, this public sector, we wouldn't have 100 million people in Brazil without sewage and 35 million without water. 10, 15 years from now, this problem will be close to zero. I hope that will happen. There's a big hope we can have from 500 billion to 700 billion investments in this area in Brazil. Something else? Augusto Nunes, I will make an exception. I know that people from the traditional media is always expect me to say something wrong. I don't like answering questions because of that. So, open for the first question. Filza. President, good night. We have seen that although there's no proof on the efficiency of the lockdown, some managers and the justice have embargoed in some issues the opening of activities. And we also hear people, a speech telling that people will live with the virus for a long time. The government hopes to come back discussing with the Supreme Court the health of the population. I would like to talk about that with the Supreme Court. It was their decision. It was unanimous. All the decisions would be exclusively made by governors and mayors. Our participation would be only sending resources to states and cities. A country, if you take into account that our budget, it was the country that most invested in this area. I would like to participate, make an opinion, suggest, but when you give power to someone, this person will not let it go. Governors and mayors, I would like to discuss with them, but the mayors sometimes they wanted to reopen, but there was a decree from governors stopping them. In São Paulo, I know many mayors went to the governor, and the governor decided not discussing the matter. There were a problem between the governor and mayors from the same party, and disassembling the economy. That's what's happening. We don't have a bigger problem only because having in mind the emergencial aid of 600 reais that we are providing, we will pay now the fourth installment. We hope the economy come back to work, but the Supreme Court changed. I don't want to blame Dias Toffoli, but we have a new president, Minister Fuchs, taking office on September. Maybe with a new minister we can discuss this issue. And I hope the Supreme Court is sensible to this discussion, because all of us can make mistakes. Why the minister of the Supreme Court cannot make a mistake? They are like anybody else. Me, I think it was an overreaction. Forbidding us to be part of this discussion. Can you see Eldorado Paulista, my city, in São Paulo State? They have more than 2,000 people in the nucleus, in the urban area of the city. Practically everything was closed. Even the lottery from my nephew, it was not closed, but there was restriction. They said it couldn't have more than 3 people in there. My nephew say, when there are 3 people in here, it was very good for me. So now the houses, businesses, humble people from the region, all of it was closed, and people survived. In many cities, they were selling from the back of the stores. It was not a good decision, I think that. And it could be revealed with the participation of the government, even on the protocol. Some states, by decree, forbid hydroxychloroquine. Can you forbid? Yes. But what is the alternative? They don't present an alternative. So there were mayors that was handcuffing women on the middle of the street. A lot of women were being arrested. How can you get vitamin D? They say it's good, but if you can't go out to the sun, it's radical. But what happened in the beginning? Maybe there's more information coming for me than for you. My source of information maybe is better than yours. When this panic started, there were people in a certain state, that said the neighbor state is closing. Why are not closing as well? So they were pressured. They were under pressure to close their states. It's impossible. What happened in Santa Catarina State? Almost all over Brazil it happened. We have 2 areas. Life, we have to take care of life, and everybody knew that, but they said that 80% of the population, once they contracted the virus, they would even know they had the virus. I was criticized in the past because I was an athlete. I always took care of my body, walking, swimming. I took care as possible, but I was not in panic. Someday the virus will arrive. I'm at home and nobody contracted. My wife's sister has the virus, my wife has not, but I told her, sooner or later you will have it. Be prepared. And don't panic. Life goes on. We cannot destruct a lot of things because of a virus. Nobody was telling in the past that these restraining measures would prevent you from contract. It would just make you to contract it later. Once you could... So you wouldn't be, there would not be a lot of people in the hospitals. The government made its part. We expanded almost 1 trillion reais. Lockdown. History will tell who was the right one and who was just encouraging panic. I'm sorry, Fusa, I like to interact with you, but it's my limit now. Augusto Nunes? Good night, President. What changes in relations between Brazil and United States if the current President Trump is not re-elected? What I have to say about that? When I start in the politics, 1981, we had President Collor, Itamar, Lula, Dilma. Brazil, since Fernando Henrique Cardoso, treated Americans as enemies, almost as enemies. as oppressors, imperialists. There was no connection. Fernando Henrique Cardoso, Lula, and Dilma, they were connected with South America and dictatorships all over the world. Cuba, for example. Here, they were in love with Venezuela, Bolivarian countries, and the Americans treated us like as not much important. But our geopolitical importance is huge. We are so rich in so many aspects. I will not tell. I would give an example, but I don't want to be in trouble. I'm forbidden to make comparisons because everything is a prejudice now. I will not tell them. We are getting close. We are not leave nobody here at South America, Africa. We want to make business with them, but we will get close to these countries. In my pre-campaign, I was in Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, with my 3 sons. We had some cool images in a hotel, in a small bedroom. 4 men in there. Can you imagine? The smell at night, but it's okay. We would like to see how things work in there. I've been in the United States as well, including one of the meetings in Brazil Trade Chamber. In the audience, when I looked, I was concerned. Zélia Cardoso was at the audience. Zélia listening to me talking about economy. I know nothing about economy. I'm just like a football coach. The team is playing. Paulo Guedes is the one that understands about it. I seek during the campaign, recognizing my place, talk to United States in a military event in United States, a speech that I gave. The Brazilian was playing. I was criticized here in Brazil because the anthem, the United States anthem, I just salute the flag. I will always pay my homages to the flag of a country. And Trump so knew that I existed. We went to the United States. I've been 3 times with Trump, I think. We talked a lot of things, some open things, some closed things. We could reach something. We have now an agreement. We are getting closer to the United States each time more, and I hope. I will not interfere, and I don't know how. I hope he will be re-elected. I'm following in Argentina. I was cheering for Macri, and now you see who is there. People wanted everything to be changed, but sometimes it changed for something better, something worse. He's lying like always. We have a brother country with a huge problem. Unfortunately, businessmen from Argentina are going to Uruguay, coming to Brazil. They told me, I don't know if it's true. So, to use a credit card out of Argentina, you have to pay 30%. So, huge taxes. Companies going to the state, they are using the pandemic to do some bad things. And I'm sure our relationship will be potentialized if Trump wins. Of course, I will look. If the other one wins, I will try to reach him. But if he didn't want, we will have to be on our own. Brazil and the United States, apart from each party, Republicans, Democrats, I'm cheering for Republicans due to the freedom Trump gave me to call him when I need it. He will collaborate with us. He told me that. I hope Trump wins. But if not, we'll try to deepen our trade relation. In the end, the whole world wants to have relations with Brazil, not only because of the Amazon region, but in everything we have. There's a project, a bill on the Senate allowing cities to sell their lands to other countries, up to 40% of their areas. What do you think about that, Augusto Nunes? A certain city that could sell up to 40% of their lands to other countries. Not only for one country, a percentage for one country, the other percentage for other country. Two countries, so 40% of the area. Can you imagine how Brazil will be if a certain country starts buying lands here in Brazil? We would be a big farm of this country. It's a concern. And it's a weight. Decisions that are not easy to be made. Thank you, Augusto. José Maria? Hello, Mr. President. There's a war in sight. The agribusiness dispute abroad. Our image is not good, and we need to show and prove that Brazil is not deforesting and it's not burning the forests. And what is scary is that Brazilian people are cheering for the foreign countries. Play on the side of this story that Brazil is bad for the environment. Among the measures would be firing Minister Ricardo Salles. What is your intention in this sector to show Brazil is not hurting the environment? Zé Maria, in the beginning of the live, I talked about it. If they were only cheering, it was okay. He was in there, eating something, drinking something, and cheering, it was okay. The problem is that there are people with means, with influence in a part of the media, praying lack of information. The foreign media sees that, publishes, and the same country reposts the report on the foreign press and publish again here in Brazil. All the time talking about impeachment. A few time ago we had ministers, there were Marina Silva, Carlos Mink. What happened? At that time there were fires in Brazil. Deforestation. What these people is not helping. We had a way to solve this issue if the land regularization provisional measure had been voted, and it would be approved. And we had a way to know through a satellite the focus of the fire. Identifying who's the owner of the area, and then you go to the area. If the place with the deforestation, if it was allowed or not. The legal reserve also in the Amazon region. A huge farming there, 80% of it, you cannot touch it, just 20%. But the area in there is so fertile, in an ear to the other. If you don't work the land, the native forest will come back. If you take deforestation, the last 20 years of Amazon, you deforested the whole country because it's one over the other, the areas. This information you can impart, you can get in social media. The big media, a small part, only a small part is telling the truth. Because it seems that I was watching a live here, Coppola, Lacombe, and Alexandre Garcia. When they tell the truth, it's like it's not politically correct. You cannot tell the truth. You have always to criticize. When we talk about deforestation in the Amazon region, almost 60% of Brazil is in illegal Amazon area. How can you take care of this? It's another lie that our forest is humid. It's never on fire. Inside legal Amazon, Pará State in charge of 40% of burns, and many of them in the same area every year. North of Mato Grosso State. If we didn't have legal Amazon in these three states, the focus would be in a very low number. General Mourão is the vice president. He's the chief of Amazon Council. He created assuring environmental order. He didn't have resources. He is not working because he has the resources. But also the size of the region. It's hard to control everything in a considerable part of people that is deforesting. And put fire in the same places, the natives, the ones living in there. The decree we signed, we will sign. If you forbid them to put fire, they talk about decree, it's just signing, they think it's just signing. We have to, if you don't put fire now, you cannot harvest in the next year. They will starve. I will hunt. What do you think I will do if I live in there? Salles will stay. Pazuello will stay. Exceptional ministers. In a meeting, they said something bad, but he was meaning that we can approve a lot of things, not allowing nobody to commit a crime. They are complaining. Go to the field to make a crop to see what happens. I've been in a farm and planted and grilled something in there. It's very easy to be in the air conditioning and eating some barbecue, drinking some soda. And criticizing the one in the field working from Sunday to Sunday. When the weather is bad, he loses his production, his crop. And he never can harvest everything he cropped. And they are sharing our economy. They are supporting our economy. In 4 months in a row, the Port of Santos is full of products. It's not easy. It's not an easy life. The farmer, it's not easy to be a farmer in Brazil. When I was a boy, when you won a prize, you always wanted to buy land. Many things have changed. In my pre-campaign, I told that I would like to join the Environment and Agriculture Ministries. With the time, we knew that it would be a very heavy ministry for just one person. In common agreement, we decided to keep both ministries. And if we're talking about agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture, Teresa Cristina, she is a representative from Mato Grosso do Sul. Her work is unbelievable. I would like to call her at Tomant because she's exceptional. She's opening market to Brazil all over the world. We are exporting each time more for all over the world. More than 1 billion people we are feeding. And when we have the Arabic world, we will, the last point, we want to export, not depending only on one country. A country like ours with good conditions of weather and soil, we're not opening the market. India is opening the market for us. We have 49 countries opening trade with us. And Teresa Cristina is heading. She was appointed by the agricultural area. You cannot, they said I could not put a representative as a minister. So, Ricardo Salles will be, unless he wants to leave. He is doing an exceptional work. And some think that being a minister of environment, he will show his capacity by the number of fines he will give. No. He has to talk, to warn, show, guide. And when you come back after a while, if he's insisting on the mistake, then you give a fine. The inspection is being made, but we're doing the right thing. A producer, a farmer, a person working in the city, they're scared of the ones investigating them. Peter Brown. President, good night. In the last days, the policy for fighting coronavirus, there were some criticism from the Minister of the Supreme Court, the armed force. He said the armed forces are committing a genocide. I would like to know what you think on this policy and on the future. Before these criticisms, are you studying any change to fight coronavirus? Specifically for the Ministry of Health, General Pazuello, what is the status now? What can you tell us, President? Thank you. Any criticism is welcome if it's a good one. Minister Gilmar Mendes. In my part, it's closed. Minister Fernando Azevedo, Minister Gilmar Mendes, the Justice, I talked to them. I'll not review what we talked, but I talked to him. There was a contact between Justice Gilmar Mendes and Minister Pazuello. They talked. And we want a solution. That's what we want. Who is General Pazuello? He's from the division. There was a fake news in here telling that he intends to be a general of the army. Yes, they are telling us they own the truth. Pazuello cannot be a general from the army. He's on the limit of the career, a general of a division. But if you talk to governors, many mayors, they have asked for help for the Ministry of Health, and they are being answered. I was in touch with the health minister. They are contacting the health minister and asking for hydroxychloroquine, and he is providing. When we talk to governors, there was something bad that happened with some congresses, some billions that will be distributed to states and cities, and it was solved. The problem was solved. And if we do now a poll among congressmen, mayors, they will say that it's positive. What I think that is, we need more a manager than a doctor now on health as a health minister. It would be good if he was both, but it's hard to coordinate those two positions. A lot of health professionals, he took 15 militaries. There are people that was following him all over his career. He has always been a manager. He was a manager on the Brazilian Olympic Games. We knew it was necessary someone good to manage all of it, and it was a success. Operation Acolhida in Roraima State, a lot of invasions from Venezuelans running away from starvation and disease on Venezuela. He took this operation and he could manage to make possible to solve it. He was complimented by the United Nations by his work. He was also a Secretary of Economy, and he made an excellent job at Roraima State government. It was an exceptional job. The right person in the right place. I want you to show, if you can, deviation and something wrong in any ministry. I would call the minister and talk and solve the issue. But this thing of taking out the servicemen. The servicemen are always very well, excellent ministers. Marcelo Avantonen is doing a great job with tourism. We had a bad time now with the virus, but he's doing a great job. André, Justice Minister, extremely competent. Exceptional job. Levi, people want him to be more aggressive, but he has to seek for solutions. It's not showing up and screaming. No, he's doing a very good job. Name of other ministers that I didn't mention. Ernesto. They say Ernesto will leave. He is exceptional. Everything I talk to him, it seems he is my twin brother. We are totally connected. If he will leave, I will leave too. Damaris, can you imagine the work she's doing? So many issues. Ministry of Women, Family and Human Rights. It's only problems, and she is leading everything perfectly. Onyx, on citizenship, another huge ministry. Regional Development Ministry. Rogério Marinho. I had a series of activities with him those days. I couldn't because of the virus. I was with him concluding a work that started in the previous office, the previous administration. They expanded 3 times more. We are concluding works. That was the order I gave the ministers, conclude the works. Ceará state work, something serving 12 million people. A district now in Rio Grande do Norte state. We were inaugurating a new water station. We spent a lot with water tanks to take water to people in need. Now we have the water station. Rio Grande do Norte, Arthur Lira, we was there talking to him, inaugurating new works, and we will inaugurate works all over Northeast region. Twice a week. I'm always working 6 days, and Sunday I'm always at home because my wife complains. We will inaugurate works. Just to show we are doing things. The local media, they don't show us. We have to do these things. We have 20,000 works going on in Brazil. For example, I will be on August. I will go to Vale do Ribeira, São Vicente, concluding a new work, recovering a local bridge. It was we didn't have resources for rebuilding it, and now we have. Representative Rosana Valos, we decided with the minister 50 million reais, and the work is being done. The bridge is partially opened now. Rosana Vale also, she had a demand. She was a specialist in finding troubles to us to solve, and it's her job to do this, and we have to solve. In Santos, we'll do now new works. Finish it. We'll look at it and finish it and tell what the government is doing. Compliment the representative for this initiative of finding out the works abandoned for so long time. We'll go at Port of Santos. President Bilal is doing an exceptional job at the Port of Santos, along with Walter, my old friend, and another people. We'll look at it to see a way, what's the formula, how he's doing the port being so powerful. We have bridges being made in many cities. The budget is arriving. We're going to see the new bridges. We'll see another work, the Army Reserve training. A mayor is doing this work. After 30 years, we're going to Itaoca City. I'll visit my mother with 93 years old. She's a group risk. I will take a lot of care. I'll visit her. I miss her so much. And then the other city. Sergeant answered me and hang up. Itapiraí. Itapira. I will stop there, talk to the sergeant. When I told him I was the president, he hung up. And I said, Sargento, please, I will give you my cell phone so we can talk and with image. I will talk to the mayor. Many cities of Largo do Ribeira. Representative Davila asked for respirators. We analyzed the requests of politicians in many cities. State Representative Frederico Davila, we get in touch with the health administration in place, and if it's necessary, we send them the respirators. Many things. We will deliver a lot of things now. I'll be in two big cities, Sinop and Sorriso, Mato Grosso State. Many billboards in there. Thank you, Sinop. I will will inaugurate a cotton harvest, national one, Nova Ubiratã City, and we will make Brazil move ahead, move forward. We have a big issue. The unemployment, we will play hard, we will go for it. Economic team is helping, doing what's possible for employees and companies. And that's
E é
it.
isso aí, pessoal.
Anything
Agora,
else?
fica- Tenente Abu- faleceu
Oh,
ano
last
passado.
year I
Eu visitei aqui
visited
pracinha da Força Especial
a
Brasileira, Tenente
veteran,
Amorim.
Tenant Amorim.
Até fizemos
Lieutenant
muita
Amorim.
imagem, etc. Ele vibrou com a nossa
He was
presença
so
lá,
happy
foi
I
lá dar
was
continência
there.
pra ele.
I was
São os últimos heróis
saluting
vivos que nós
him,
temos,
one
e
of the last
o Tenente
heroes
Amorim,
alive
aquele
we
general,
have.
faleceu. Eu não, logicamente,
I
não
cannot
posso
be
comparecê-lo
there
nas suas últimas rendezvous da última,
because
na
of the
situação que me encontra no momento aqui. Então, a família do Tenente Amorim,
the family
que
of
Deus aí
Lieutenant
abençoe
Amorim.
vocês.
God
Eu tenho
bless
certeza
you.
que ele está
I'm
junto ao
sure
Criador, uma hora
you're
dessa
now
aí,
with the Creator
olhando por
at
todo
this
mundo.
time.
Mais uma coisa?
Thank
Pessoal,
you
muito
very
obrigado.
much. To all.
Até a
See you
semana que
next
vem.
week without a
Tem vídeo,
virus.
Até a semana que vem.
No,
Não,
don't turn it off.
Já que estão
I
fazendo
will
propaganda,
advertise
fazer
now. They are
propaganda
telling
mesmo,
I'm
né?
doing it. I will do it
Não,
now.
médico, hein?
Hydroxychloroquine and
Ajuda aí,
Anita,
pessoal.
everybody. Okay?
Ok?